Hello, this is Intro Mine here, giving you a director's commentary for Sandguardians Season 4. Now this is a big season in terms of production, because the journey to get to this season, there's a lot of turmoil. So I'm just going to get this out of the way and explain the gap between Seasons 3 and 4.
No, holy shit!
So, season 3 ended in January 2017, and around that time, I was still in college, had a job, and everything like that.
Knock it off.
But I guess the main reason for the gap between seasons 3 and 4 was just mentally and emotionally. I was just I wasn't in a good place. I was finishing up college, and there's a lot of struggles, with just past inner demons and things that have just kind of caught up to me back in high school, catching up to me at that point. And then taking film classes, it kind of it pushed me away from my YouTube stuff. Just starting YouTube was like a good escape from the craziness of high school. And from there, it's where I kind of
Someone just
got
tell
my
me.
creative juices. That's where it was born and everything like that. And taking film classes in college, it definitely was more quote unquote serious, I guess, taking like screenwriting classes and cinematography classes. I don't know, just that creative spirit,
I think I hear it
just,
too.
I wouldn't say it was starting to die, but it was, I don't know, it was taking a toll. And once I finished Sandguardians, and the fact that season 3, the production is like 3 years, that's kind of a main reason, because of college and work and just life in general. So it was tough. And I graduated college within that gap, and not just Sandguardians, but like the rest of my videos, I just lost a bit of passion there, like
What?
seeing the reality
going
of
on?
like jobs and film and everything like that just soured things for me, because I realized like I don't really like being on set like that and like getting up really early and everything like that. I was totally fine with getting like a stable job and like doing my YouTube stuff as a hobby. And I was able to be a lot more creatively free with Sandguardians and my YouTube videos and everything. So
Please.
just kind of
Someone
almost
tell
even
me
giving up on
what the
film
hell
throughout
is going
that
on?
period,
What happened
just
at
generally. But
Where are
thankfully, I
missing
didn't fully
parts?
give up. And honestly, with the pandemic, when the pandemic happened, I was able to really slow down and get my stuff together, my mind and emotionally and mentally, get that focus more on, like, put more focus on that, essentially. And I'm still doing that now, but the pandemic, with not having a job, was actually kind of I'm an introvert, so that was a kind of a blessing for me. I know it's not for everybody, but for me, the pandemic really helped me. And throughout that period, I was still like writing notes for season 4 and everything.
But then Bernard.
When season 3 ended, I just decided to cancel Sandguardians because I didn't have. Well, one reason was what I just explained, and another reason was because I just didn't have a set story ready for season 4. I had an idea, but I just wasn't ready to like actually jump in and produce, because I had so much other stuff to do, and my priorities just weren't, aligned. I don't really have another way to say that.
No?
But throughout that time, I wrote notes for season 4, and once the pandemic hit, I just decided, you know what?
Have gone back.
And another concern was like it's been like that long gap. It's been a few years since I did Sandguardians, so I wasn't really in contact with my voice actors at that point. So I was really, really worried that what if one of them don't come back? What if none of them come back? And I mean, if I don't have voice actors, the same voice actors at least, like I can't actually produce this.
Seal's still dead.
So I decided,
Roth's dead.
I have all these
Nash is
notes,
gone.
I'm writing it.
Mickey's
Let me
gone.
just
Bart's
write the scripts as if I'm actually going to produce season 4. So I wrote the scripts for season 4. I had the story aligned, and I just wrote it in a way like, even if I never produce this, I'm going to try to finish writing
This is my
Sandguardian, so at least I know where it ends, and I can like visualize and see the
Honestly,
ending because I would have written
I
it out.
wouldn't have gone back for
But
Seal.
thankfully, my voice actors all
I
returned,
admire you.
and I got some new voice actors
I really do.
eventually throughout
You're
the
just being
season,
modest,
and
Mary.
all
You
that
know you're
kind
smarter
of
than that.
emotional and mental like
Everyone
struggle
was.
that I went through,
This is different. Way
and
different.
having the
I
time
took
to
the
like
one thing they
do a lot of
needed to escape.
introspection and
Alan,
just sift
our
through that.
circumstances,
Sandguardians, specifically
having to
season
split
4, was
up,
just an amazing
hideouts,
outlet for all those
the people
feelings.
we
And
love.
that's one reason I love
Killed.
writing and why
I'll
season
make things
4
right this time.
was, I wouldn't say it was
Promise.
easy, but like
If I
tackling
redo
certain
everything.
subjects,
You can do your
I
job
had
again.
some experience
You
with
have
the subjects I
nothing
tackled in
to feel
season 4.
guilty about.
And I feel like season 4, a lot of the themes are
serious?
just like loneliness, self-blame, self-love,
I'm glad
trust
you at least
and
tried
friendship,
today.
essentially, like good social support. Just those things that I was struggling with, I can put that in season 4.
You should try it
Um,
on.
and then just in terms of
armor
like
was tailored
production, like
specifically for
every
Alan.
episode
Don't-
is thankfully in 1080p. It's a proper
I just
machinima.
thought now would be a good time.
Halo the Master Chief
We did
was
manage
released,
to upgrade the
within that
upgrading
time
rooms.
period, so
Me?
I was able
told
to
them?
play around
No,
with different armor
of
sets
course not.
and things like
I'm
that,
just letting
and
you know that I'm ready
especially
whenever you
expand the world of Sandguardians in terms of the Guardians and the ONC. So,
It's too late.
with that out of the way, let's actually talk about the season.
True.
Kind of
Never
pedaling
too
back a
late.
bit. I know we're kind of
I know
further
you
into
feel
this
guilty,
first
Alan, but
episode, catching up.
nobody here blames
That opening was
Something
kind of a
tells me that
last minute
deep
decision,
down,
specifically
you don't mean
with Ellen, which I'll get to in a bit, where you can hear Ellen's voice, like her some of her lines from season 3 echoing. That was kind of a late decision. I just thought it would be a good connector between the gap between season 3 and 4, and I think I've always wanted to open it like originally. Season 4 was always going to open on the Reds, and originally it was going to be Gates and Miller. Like the opening scene of season 4 would be Gates and Miller looking around Ghost Town, the map that they were just in. They would be looking around Ghost Town, searching for a jug of water to bring back to the camp where Nash and Claire would be. And then they would talk about the fight at the end of season 3, and an ONC guard would attack them, and they would fight the ONC guard and manage to escape and take the water back to
Oh,
Nash
hey,
and Claire.
Good morning.
You're outside.
But I guess I decided that it's kind of
yeah.
important to
Got bored being a
start it
recluse, I
off
guess.
piggybacking on season 3, because
great.
I still personally
I mean,
think that season 3 is the
it's great
strongest
to see that
season.
you were
Um,
trying.
but
Did you want
for this
something?
season, opening not just with Ellen's little echoing narration as the opening, but
Why did you
opening
guys
with
fight?
Nash,
That's what you wanna talk
I
to me
was, I don't know, I was really happy about that, because for me, that kind of shot of Nash kind of waking up and yelling
about? We're
no
rebels,
was,
Ichabod.
for me,
Instead of
it's
staying hidden
like
to cover our
I'm
tracks.
establishing her as
If you want the ONC to kill us,
a
then
real
let's go
main
swim.
character now. Like a lot of the
Noted. And you
extra
guys
characters,
chose
like the Guardians, like
this place
Nash and
because
Ellen,
What? It's
are
well hidden?
for this season are becoming
that?
like legit
Like the
main
others, this
characters
one was
right there
abandoned
next to
after
the
the
Reds
war.
and Blues.
Can't
So yeah, decided to open the season with Nash, kind of like
It's empty.
being in shock and coming
Last
out of
guys
her
here from
little
away got rid of them
her
somehow.
I don't want to say coma, but being knocked out essentially.
I don't wanna know.
And this season is very
You
big
wouldn't
on
be
the
here if
Reds.
it wasn't safe.
The Blues. This whole Sandguardians is heavily inspired by Red versus Blue, and in Red versus Blue, the Blue team are the ones who push the story forward. And I'm very happy in season 4 that the Reds
You could say
are
that too.
essentially, they're the ones on the journey, and we're following their story kind of primarily.
Like at other bases?
And following that scene with Ellen and a new character, Mary,
Do you ever
and just kind of piggyback again, Nash is voiced by Xanthi Folan, reprising her role. And Claire is now, thankfully, not voiced by me this season.
Legend's been on my mind.
Claire is voiced by Corin May, a fantastic voice actress.
People that
And
saw something
this was the season where
expected more out of me.
I think I definitely wanted Claire to be given a proper female voice because
With all you've been through,
I don't know,
I'm not gonna
just
hear from
there
you.
was once I got in touch with my other voice
Pain?
actors and
Pain never really goes away.
my
You
the
always wish you
returning
could have
voice
done things
actors
differently.
are Sip the
Say what
Mighty,
needed to be
Xanthi
said.
Folan, JPO25 who
It's okay
voices
to feel sad.
Winters, and Jack
In a
F who
way,
voices
they
Bernard
make you
and
want to be
Yamo
better.
this season. And I managed to find a really cool website getting where amateur and professional voice actors
Sorry,
reside,
Yamo. I
and
just
that
got
was
done
such a
talking to
huge
Sergeant.
help.
I'm on my way to you now.
Just getting the actors
Yeah,
I
my
needed
fault.
for the
Sorry
roles
about
and them
that.
all being
I just-
available and on board. And thankfully, I already written all the scripts. So
Yamo's a
I
punctual fellow.
originally with
You
the
better
first
get
three
going.
seasons, I would write
Yeah,
like maybe the
but you,
first three scripts and then start machinimating and
Hey,
filming.
Ichabod.
And I would try to make sure that
Thanks for the talk.
I was 2 scripts ahead of
welcome.
the episode I was like working
glad I
on.
made someone today.
But for this season, since I've already written all the scripts, I could, I don't know, it was just way smoother. Hence why this season, it's from 2022 to 2023, rather than like 2014 to 2017. But yeah, Xanthi Folan returns as Nash, and Corin May takes over the role for Claire, which I was so happy about. And I really wanted kind of a tomboyish yet girly voice, I guess, for Claire. It's not the best explanation, but she fit right in.
Hey, Yamo.
And following that scene in episode 1, I know we're on episode 2 right now, but trying to play catch up, which the first episode is technically called. I had a bit of a therapy scene between Ellen and Mary.
Again?
And the reason Alan is now Ellen is because Sip, Ellen's voice actress, came up with the idea because she's also trans and came to me when I actually came to her saying like, hey, I'm kind of doing Sandguardians season 4. Would you like to return as the character? She recommended Alan, have a transition from a male to a female off screen, just to mirror her, and I thought that was pretty risky, honestly, at first, but I knew it was important to her, and it was definitely something that I wanted to advocate for in terms of like diversity in like film and TV and everything. So what I personally just didn't want it to be off screen. I wanted it to be on screen, and Ellen was always kind of a character I struggled to write for because she was mainly just kind of the best friend kind of character. I have a kind of a bad habit of like, especially for like the Guardians, like you have all these characters that I mention but you don't actually see. Like Mickey was first mentioned in season 2 along with Ellen. And Ellen has a cameo in season 2, and then she comes proper in season 3.
Wait a sec.
And I think this would have been a really great opportunity to add that to her character. I didn't want her to just be some checkmark token diversity kind of character. It's one thing I really am not a fan of. So I wanted to make that character, make that part of her character, essentially, just having her struggle not just through like transitioning, but how she still feels guilt about what she did in season 3 about abandoning Nash and the Reds and wanting to go back, but Mickey telling her not to come back.
It was a lower number at first.
And her just at the end of season 3, Ellen was just kind of down, So I really had to find a way to incorporate this naturally. Like this is something like this is the future. Why would she be struggling, transitioning? Shouldn't it be a-okay? And obviously I did my research. I worked with Sip, Ellen's voice actress, and it's gonna be a kind of a weird kind of explanation, but the Mass Effect series was also a good inspiration for me because that series, I played it for the first time in 2022 Um, and man, like the game, I played the Legendary Edition, but the original games came out like late 2000s, early 2010s, and it was so ahead of its time. Like, oh my gosh, I did not know Mass Effect was going to be that good. So I'm a huge Mass Effect fan. So yeah, I really just wanted to focus on Ellen as a character, and putting myself in those shoes in that scenario, and thinking about, okay, what would I be worried about? What would I be going through emotionally? And that's why I kind of love that scene between Ellen and Mary, just having a little therapy session, and just talking. The big inspiration for this season was Ruby Volume 4. Because with Ruby Volume 4, you have, if you're familiar with Ruby, it's an animated, computer animated anime, Western anime. And in the first 3 seasons of Ruby, it's just, you're getting to know the characters, you're falling in love with them, you're getting to know the story, and it's very character and story driven with a lot of action. And then season 3 ends on just it's just has an Empire Strikes Back kind of ending. And Volume 4, Ruby Volume 4, is just like a recovery kind of season. There's not a lot of action. There's a lot of characters being introspective, a lot of characters trying to move forward with all the terrible things that have happened. And I wanted this season to reflect that. And if you go on the Sandguardians wiki and you go to the season 4 page, you'll see the poster for Sandguardians season 4. And that poster is inspired by Ruby Volume 4's poster, with like characters on top and characters on bottom. So I really wanted this season to be about recovery and introspection and guilt, and just I wouldn't say getting darker, but moving towards a more dramatic place, because I was going through a lot, even before, during that gap between season 3 and 4. So I put that into this season. And it was a good place to introduce the character of Marilyn, who is voiced by Ella Ree. And Ella Ree, actually, she originally auditioned for Claire. But I needed I needed Claire to have an American accent. And Ella Ree, the voice of Marilyn, didn't. But I thought, she would be great for this other character. And thankfully, she auditioned for the other character and was perfect for the part. Ella Ree is also in Sip the Mighty's other Machinima, Guard Duty. So let's make it happen. I'm also in Guard Duty. Check out Guard Duty by Spotbox Studios. But that scene with Ellen and Mary was, for lack of a better word, therapeutic for me. Just writing that, and I definitely find that with this season, especially for the male characters, because it's a bit of a stigma how men don't express their emotions by just talking a lot of the times. We're not really given that space to talk, and I wanted to reflect that with the male characters in this, not just the male characters, but all the characters, how the importance of finding a safe space to talk and safe people to connect with when you need to talk. And I really wanted Marilyn to be that character, to be that guardian where the other guardians go to when they need someone to just talk, to just listen, and it was a really great way to get into Ellen's psyche and guilt, and to see what she was going through. And with Ellen transitioning that storyline, I put in I really wanted to find smart ways to put in elements of just, I didn't want this to just happen subtly. I wanted, and there's obviously going to be a whole thing like, well, why wasn't this pointed out in the previous season with Ellen? And I really had it. It was fun coming up with that backstory, like why would Ellen wait so long to transition? And I thought, well, the war was going on. Um, and maybe Ellen could be a character where, of course, like I feel like in the future, even that far off in the future, maybe it would still be hard or difficult to come out for whatever reasons, like there's still, issues today, there's, like with wars that have passed, with slavery and the world wars and everything like that, like all that trauma is still happening today, you know, um, just because it's whatever year you're watching this, we're still, history is still kind of repeating itself. People are still going through the same issues. Like these are like universal problems. So, it was really important for me. It's always important for me to put myself in the character's shoes, to really understand them, and to not judge them. At least I try not to judge my characters for their actions, because the whole saying, everybody's a hero of their own story.
Goddamn.
But yeah, like having that part in the first episode with Ellen going to the box or the crate, and Marilyn mentioning, the name Ellen, and Ellen just feeling not ready for it, not seeing herself as a good person for what she did, and Marilyn trying to remind her, there might not be a best time. I feel like Ellen, and it helped me out because it made me really focus on Ellen as a character and really forced me to put in the work and the backstory for I really gotta solidify a lot of this writing, like the motivation, not just the motivations for the characters, but their backstory, which I haven't really did.
They've wiped everything.
So yeah, like with Ellen, I see her as a character that
Well, what about our team in the
is used to
jungle? You said
putting
you read
other
something about
people
enforcement?
before her, and it's something I struggle with a lot, with not feeling like you deserve certain things or deserve happiness and everything. And I thought
This
that
is
would be a
Brigadier
good
Bernard. I hear you,
storyline
Sergeant.
for
Can you
Ellen,
hear me?
and of course establishes
No,
Mary's
Isaac, can you
character
hear me?
as well as the blues. I think it's very funny how in season 4 we have Nash with the Reds and
No.
Ellen with the Blues. The Reds and Blues
Touch
still
base with Vlad in the
separated.
Arctic.
Um,
We need the chance.
so I thought that was interesting, and I guess there was no particular reason why the Reds and the Blues were separated. It just, I kind of just, the story just happened to be that way. I really did wish I could have had more scenes with the Reds and Blues together,
Keep moving.
but with the fact there's so many characters,
No, we are not
um,
doing this.
it's still a
This is the
possibility.
dark bullshit. Unfortunately, we're not used to being
And
hunted
kind
down.
of
Look,
going
why can't we just make
to
contact
continuing with episode 1. I know we're on episode 3 now, and I'm very behind. But if you just bear with me.
Mayday. This is Guardian
With
Nash
episode
requesting
1,
immediate
with the
pickup.
scene with Ellen and
Can anyone hear
Ichabod,
me?
was also a nice scene because it introduces some new music. I usually, for me, music is always tough because I don't have a composer. I just look for music, royalty-free music websites, and I would usually look for stuff on incompetech.com where the music is composed by the musician Kevin MacLeod. But for this season, I found a really nice website called musicfox.com where you can download royalty-free music on there. And I used, I don't know, I used a lot of their music on there. And I tried to stick with that website to be consistent throughout the whole season and try to focus on, try to be more intentional with the music. Like for the Guardians, their music would be very worldly kind of music, very triumphant, a bit of Western here and there too, while the ONC would be very like a mixture of college fight songs with some electronic and industrial kind of music. And I think it worked, that marriage between that.
Even alive?
And with that scene, with episode 2, we saw with Ichabod and the new character Yamo, voiced by Jack F.
Forget about
Who
it.
does an amazing
Can't just
performance of
forget
both
about
Bernard
your best
and
friend, even
Yamo.
after he abandoned
And
you.
How do do you know?
Credit to him for taking on 2 roles.
We almost
I can't
died
imagine how
after
tough
you
that
got
was.
knocked out.
And
We fought
Yama
Bernard.
was had a little cameo in season
We
3,
mentioned embark behind just to
and
get out
introducing
there.
him proper. I know I
Nobody
definitely
came
needed
back for
a
us.
few more elites, because
I
that
know,
is
Alan. He
important
wouldn't do
for
something like this unless he
the world of
absolutely had
Sandguardians,
to.
you know, in the ONC and
Something
trying to
must
bring
have
humans and
happened to
aliens
him.
together. I did need
Been stabbed in the back before?
you know, more elites and everything. And even after that, you know, Archie's also introduced in episode 2 in this season. And so, okay, originally, and here's Archie right now. Originally, I wrote it. I actually had 5 other Guardians that were going to be introduced this season, and I reduced that to 3 because you would have 5 Guardians. I would have to introduce all of them,
Feel was
and then you have the Blues, which means so many other characters, and you have to like try to build some kind of backstory and you know, just like have these characters be characters. And because of that, if you introduce too many characters, you'll lose focus on the main characters like Ellen, the Blues, Nash, the Reds. So originally, Archie, Marilyn, and Iamo were all written down, but I had another female character and another male character to, you know, make up that 5. Yama was always like the de facto leader, the data analyst type. Marilyn, I believe, was going to be kind of like Jessie from Toy Story 2, or like the old lady from the Lightyear movie. You know, I can't remember that character's name. But just like either she was going to be no, I think Marilyn was always going to be like kind of the sweet doctor, therapist kind of character. And the character I was talking about, you know, the more Jessie, old lady from Lightyear, kind of crazy character, I believe her name was Wilder. I had a character named Wilder, and she was kind of like Toph from Avatar. Very tough, very kind of in your face, but also kind of old, you know. And Archie, I'm not sure about Archie. I wanted like a character that was really big into tech and communications, which became Archie. And the last character was going to be like a Wedge / Poe Dameron. He was going to be a Wedge Antilles / Poe Dameron type of character, like a pilot. He would be the one to fly around, fly the Guardians to their missions and everything like that.
Where are you going?
But I probably have a bad habit of writing too many characters in, because I really needed the Guardians to feel like this big team. But I dwindled it down to 3 because I feel like it still worked. And then you have the Blues, who are now Guardians, so that makes up for things. And you know, the war's been going on. The war, quote unquote, the battle between the Guardians and the ONC, I imagine, would be going on for about at least a year. So they would have lost a decent amount of people, and now the Guardians would be at their last, you know, on their last legs. But yeah, you know, I'm so happy with the voice actors I got for Marilyn Iamo and Archie.
Sorry.
And Archie is voiced by
Do you
Ethan
normally
Chaotic.
talk to yourself?
Really, really
I-
great voice actor.
I
Really,
can't
really
wait.
talented
No.
dude.
I was just on my way out.
What's the sniper for?
So we talked about all the characters, at least the new and the old characters. And with episode 3, I believe this is episode 4, but with episode 3, with the reintroduction of the ONC and
Wait,
Bernard,
what?
Archie's punishing you?
I thought it was interesting and kind of important for Legend to be stuck with
That doesn't
Bart.
sound like him.
Because again, with these seasons, I try to take the more natural course,
You putting Dax
as
on
in
is
where
being
would these
told of
characters
you.
naturally, how would these characters naturally grow? What would naturally make sense? With Legend and Bart being captured and being tortured together, that was mainly just to have Legend
Sorry for the false alarm.
overcome his prejudice of aliens and forcing him to work with this alien that unfortunately he can't even understand. Because at least Seal had um, a translator with him, and obviously Bart doesn't. So it does pain me to see Legend just getting beat up throughout this whole season, but
I know he's still out there.
I wanted Legend to still have a presence this season, even though he's not in a lot of episodes. And I think I give a little bit of development for Bart.
After losing the Reds,
And of course, with Bernard, like I said, this season doesn't have a lot of action with it, a lot of action in it. It has a lot more talking. So having Bernard interact with more of the ONC was definitely a treat. And I love Jack F. And he's just he continues to be great with Bernard.
Random question. You like those?
So finally, we are on episode 4, and I can finally talk about it.
what?
Ichabod told me.
So I love how this is in HD now. This is great. And I thought it was interesting, just and this scene, I mean, for a lot of these episodes, there was a lot of rewriting involved. And this scene is definitely one of those scenes of, what's Dax going through? What's going through Dax's head? Why does he want to leave? How does Marilyn get him to stop and everything like that? And here we have Yamo and Archie. Thankfully, a lot more scenes where the characters are just talking and hanging out.
It doesn't help to be so hard on him.
I asked him to do but a few things, and he forgot the absolute most important one.
And one thing about introducing new characters, you can kind of go wherever you want with them. By having these conversations, you can just play around with, like, what would this character say? Or what would Yamo say? What would Yamo say? What would Archie say in these in this scene?
I don't have the patience for any of his nonsense. We finally have all the data we need to dismantle the ONC, but no support, no one on the ground scouting, and no numbers to fight back. Do you understand? We are all that's left.
I definitely feel like I upped my visual effects game in this season. Definitely could have been a lot better, but with all the different graphics in each scene, I was really proud of it.
Pardon? Seriously?
We'll work on that.
And I was actually considering having the interior of the Guardian base, because at the end of season 3, the Guardian base is in the Halo 3 map Isolation. So I decided that, okay, this season deals with the underground chamber. What if just like the Rebels in Star Wars, what if these characters were to make base underground? And originally, well, maybe not originally, but at one point at least, I was considering having the interior of the Guardian base be the Halo 3 map Guardian, because it's green, it's called Guardian, obviously, and it's a really interesting looking map. The problem with that map is that I think the skybox is just this like teal color where you can't see, where it's just like this bottomless pit. And I felt like maybe that could work, but it just, I don't know, it wouldn't make sense. So I decided to go with this map here, Heretic.
So they shipped me off, and I eventually.
Because I don't know, I like that, that difference between the ONC and the Guardians, where the Guardians are in, alien, like their base is in some alien ship, some derelict alien ship, while the ONC sticks with, man-made bases like Foundry and Pit Stop.
Sneaking into a lecture conducted by Dr.
Or the Pit, I'm sorry.
On Sangheili dialects. Oh,
Now, this is one of my favorite scenes in the season between Dax and Marilyn. And I think it really sets up both of these characters, especially Marilyn, of course. And Dr. Man is a real character in Halo. His name is Dr. Luther Mann. And I'm not a huge, I'm a big Halo fan, but I haven't read like the books, so I'm not too into the lore. So going on like the Halo, like Halopedia, and reading like information there and try to make it work for Sandguardians. And it helps with the backstories of these characters,
I'm so
um,
sorry.
trying to make sure that it makes sense in the world of Halo, at least a
He got
little
me
bit.
into hunting and sports, and he always helped people.
And I just now realized, like in season 1, I mentioned Dax's great great granddad,
They
but
were strict.
like writing it now in season 4,
overprotective.
uh,
Joining the ONC was
I kind of like
my
made a mistake, but like Dax is talking about
responsibility,
his
I
great
guess.
great granddad. Like
My
how
parents
old
were
is that
so
guy? And is that guy still alive when Dax was still alive? That's crazy,
being
you know.
different.
But I feel like it's still believable, having a
the
great great
ONC
granddad still alive. You never
fun,
know, especially in the
know?
future. You never know.
Meeting new people, new aliens.
And here Marilyn's talking
learning
about her motivations for
them,
joining the
doing
ONC.
something different every day.
And Dax too. I really like this scene, and Ella's performance here was really down to
My
earth.
great great granddad wasn't like the rest of my family either. He was
And I
a
think
rescue
it's
Marine before he opened up his
really
shop.
nice that
And
compared to the ending of the last season where Dax was very scared,
Marines.
wanting to give up, losing his innocence. And here he's rebuilding himself back up, and it fits into that theme of, trying to find good support,
Got any more?
healthy social support to build you back up. It was a lot of fun, and just writing for these new characters like these Guardians, because it really helps me write the backstory for like every character and get way more invested. Like doing season 4 really got my creative spark, even like specifically for Sandguardians. It got that spark much. I just got it back, And throughout the whole season, I was getting help and encouragement from Sip the Mighty, one of the co-creators of Guard Duty and the voice actors for Ellen. And just she was a huge help. So shout out to her for just being a constant source of support in this season and just getting me even more excited about it.
So, how close are we exactly?
And here we are with Nash and the Reds again. And I really, I say I upped my visual effects game, and I'm trying to make this. I hope this scene comes off as like dusk. It's not nighttime, but I wanted to show that it's getting there. Like it's like nighttime's approaching.
It's great at nursing fresh wounds, apparently, but if you wait too long, I guess.
And now that I'm in season 4, sometimes it's really hard to reestablish like how the lifesaver works. Why wouldn't it work for Nash? And I imagine, Nash, Miller dragged an unconscious Nash with a wound on her leg through a whole bunch of sludge, like a pipe. And of course, that sludge would get into her leg and get infected. And I would see the lifesaver trying to just slow down the infection, because between Miller dragging Nash and Gates, and Claire getting to Miller, like the time between that maybe would have been a bit too late. And then again, the Reds wouldn't know how the hell to use the lifesaver, and I don't think they even knew it was a lifesaver when Legend threw it to them. And here we have another character mentioned, Miller's girlfriend Jackie, who joined the military with him. And it's interesting. You if you focus too much on story, you don't really have time to just get to know these characters. Because as a writer or just creating this show, I don't really know which character people like. I don't really know how people feel about certain characters. I need to, as a writer, I need to like all these characters, and at least I should want to get to know them. And going through, that gap between season 3 and 4, all that stuff, it made it more important for me to, and easier for me too, to just write these kinds of backstories. Like, where did Miller grow up? Does he have any siblings? How does Gates and Claire feel about their siblings and everything? And here's a scene I'm iffy on. It was definitely difficult to write, and I feel like, and this whole episode is, for me, runs a bit too long. It's just that with this, we have, the Reds, we have the Guardians and the Blues, and then we have Bernard, Legend, and Bart. So I have to find a way to juggle all these storylines and try to give each of them their due if I can.
Where's Dax? Didn't he say he was going in for the day?
And here we have Ichabod and Jason just mingling. Well, not mingling, sort of mingling. And Ichabod mentioning his three younger brothers, and single mom is important. I'll just say that. It was, like I said, it was fun when for the first 3 seasons. It was definitely tough, and I was very restrictive of writing backstories for characters. I don't know why. I just feared not being able to follow up with them. But now it's not that I regret it now, writing season 4. I kind of do. But I understood why I didn't go into these characters' backstories in the earlier seasons. Because I just wanted to write. I just wanted to write a fun show. That's really it. I just wanted to write like a show I would watch. But seeing the importance of like these characters, just talking, you really was. I just found that important. And I did give myself kind of permission to say, like, okay, this season we're gonna slow things down. We're not gonna try to focus on like, I need an action scene here, or I need something really dramatic here. I just allow these characters to just talk. And I really had to think about like these characters, Ellen and the Blues leaving the others behind. Would it be right for them to blame themselves? And it was just like a natural conflict of all these characters feeling, having like survivor's guilt, essentially.
Hell, I bet Legend's out there right now with a stolen airship flying to UNSC headquarters as we speak.
And with 3 seasons under the belt, and all that history, it's nice for the characters to just discuss all that.
Sometimes I think of killing myself.
Now that line was, again, important and very heavy. I was always, and this is kind of what, going back to when I said I felt more confident writing and tackling this heavy subject matter and material. Because with season 2, when Jason is talking with Seal, I believe it's episode 21, when Dax, Jason, and Seal are in the Phantom, and Jason is talking with Seal. I definitely see Jason having some form of self-hate and a lot of low self-esteem, and just wanting to give up, to die, essentially. And I wanted to treat that with compassion and, nothing, especially if you fight in the military, nothing to be ashamed of or afraid to admit. And again, to have Ichabod have a sort of a very compassionate but realistic response. I didn't want Ichabod to say like, "Don't worry, we all care about you," and everything like that. I wanted him to not know what to say, but still offer that, like, not even necessarily offer like saying like, "Hey, you can talk to me whenever," but more of a like, "Hey, I'm here, I'm listening, and I'm here, I'm present with you, having this feeling, and I'm not judging you for it." And yeah, I just wanted to show that Ichabod cares about like his friends, and he's trying to step up, and he's becoming a character. I always felt like Ichabod was just this character that I never really know why I kept around. I never wanted to kill Ichabod, but I felt like sometimes, I don't know, something about Ichabod that I really like.
Oh, okay, so you decided to blow us
And
off
here,
to talk to this stranger.
having him take a more dramatic kind of role was,
Such a child sometimes. I'm a
I
child.
guess it was
I've been babysitting your ass
somewhat tough, because it's not like he was becoming a different character, but
doesn't matter.
he was going through changes.
You needed her to talk to, then that's cool.
And I had to make sure that, like, would Ichabod say this stuff? When you want a character to really change, even like, especially for the blues, like, would these characters say this stuff? Because when they say something different, it might, how do you make it feel like it's a sense of growth and not like an out of character moment? I hope that makes sense.
Sorry. You sound better, to be honest. Big day tomorrow. Every single piece of data we collected from the Genesis files, we're going over all of it to decide how we can take those bastards down.
And now we can finally get confirmation, like, this is the rendezvous coming up that we've been mentioning since season 1.
Planning to meet up for. It's happening.
And this piece of music in the background, I believe it's called Wake Up from musicfox.com.
Promise not to let them down.
And I tried to attach it with Ellen to kind of make it her theme, which is very tough to do when your music is all royalty free. It's hard to give each character a theme.
Get them up.
Come on. What's your angle?
It was very tough. I feel like I didn't push Bart as far as I could have, or wanted to. I kind of did want to focus more on Legend.
What's with the knife?
Take off his helmet.
Hey, what the hell do you...
And I so wish I could have had just a little animation of seeing Legend's helmet on the, just like drop to the ground or whatever,
I mean, come on, he doesn't need both eyes to live.
And again, this is like a nice example of like, I wrote all the scripts before I actually produced the episode, because of course you can't take an avatar's helmet in game.
You want to talk now? The Red's the
So I tried to have a mixture of like special effects, sound effects, and blocking the shots in a certain way, so you can tell that Legend's there, but you don't see him, I guess.
Feel free to tell me anything that comes to mind.
Wait.
Details, man. I need those details.
Sir, we need you in the comm room, quick.
Excuse me, friends.
Hello, Bernard here. And also a shot of Legend, just to know that he's still in his armor, he just doesn't have his helmet on.
What? I contacted the research lab like you said and got this. The fucking comms are
And I feel like season 4 is definitely a good pickup,
That's not right.
or pick me up from season 3.
Chancellor's from this
Like, if you haven't watched Sandguardians in a while, I feel like there's
the lab's gone.
good moments where, or at least moments where the series reminds you that the series like gives you reminders of what happened in season 3, essentially.
This is ONC headquarters reporting in. May I ask...
And here we have the HQ, the same HQ operator. I tried to make sure, like, okay, this is the same guy from season 2 and
Copy that.
I'd say season 1 as well. Maybe just season 2.
Unfortunately, the Chancellors are unavailable at the moment.
I'm sorry. That doesn't make any sense. I contacted them at their research lab, but now I'm only getting interference when...
So I guess I can talk more about I guess casting, just of course I have my same cast here. And there's a few other voice actors that I haven't mentioned yet, but I will when their characters come up.
The Chancellor has spent a considerable amount of resources trying to obtain. I'm in pursuit of said device.
Such a great cast, and it was much easier to obviously to find actors, thankfully. But it just gave me more. It just like doing Sandguardians again, returning to Sandguardians. When I would write, like describe it, like I needed to, cast a new character or cast an actor, I would have to write that character's backstory and like what were the inspirations for that character for whoever the actor is auditioning for. And that really just helped me get more in tune with getting used to writing backstories. Now, it's definitely one of my favorite episodes of the season. I always like at least like one of the early episodes to have an action scene. I really, really liked this episode, like the shots and the editing, which was very tough. But doing action scenes was fun. It was really fun. This episode got some pretty good reception compared to the other episodes of season 4. And the music, oh man, I'm blanking out. It's from musicfox.com. And man, what is it called? I can't remember. Let's see. It's that perfect example because there's a lot of iterations of the song. And okay, it's called Fire Show. I'm looking it up on my computer. So there's like different variations of the song, like there's just the regular version and there's an electronic version, if you want to call it electronic, but there's an electronic version. If you hear the music sound a bit whimsical, like right here, then it'll be focusing on our heroes like Nash and the Reds. But if it's more electronic and industrial sounding, the shot would be focused on the ONC. And here, these ONC guards actually do have names. The one with the sniper is called Samuel, and the one with the rocket launcher is called Isaac. Yes, and that is a reference to Red vs. Blue. I really love this moment of Nash and Claire, and they have their own voice actresses, so it's cool to finally see like, I don't know, just two voice actresses. I mean, we kind of saw in episode 1 with Ellen and Mary, but it's nice to see, just like now that I have a way more voice actors. Like one thing that was very surprising to me when I was like voicing my character, like, because I still voice a lot of characters like, the Blues and Gates and Miller, but like this episode I wasn't as tired, like for an episode for season 1, I'm voicing all the characters, so I'm doing a lot of editing. And here I'm not doing as much, I'm not voice acting as much, I'm not editing as much, because it's like I don't think there's an episode this season where it's just me voicing all the characters. I feel like there's at least one different voice actor, which is a godsend. Love this shot. Oh, this music is so great.
Holy shit. Pretty awesome, right? I came in and was like,
see, those are those water jugs I kind of mentioned at the beginning of the commentary about like Miller and Gates looking for water for Nash and Claire.
So we're even. Ish. Hop on, smartass.
I love this episode. There's a lot of great chemistry between just Nash and the Reds too,
I was there, when we
And the colors are just awesome. I love this this shot here with Nash walking up the stairs. But the dialogue for the ONC and Nash was tough because I wanted it to sound threatening and badass, but like Nash's retort here, I feel like I could have done better though. But Xanthi's a freaking professional, and she is Nash, so I was so happy to have her back. And one thing that's tough is having quote-unquote hand-to-hand combat in Machinima, because you need it to be kind of fast and look sort of realistic, I suppose. And with action scenes, you just have to just try stuff, you know. Tried to like simulate him choking her. And even this is one thing, not only did I write the scripts for this season, at least the first drafts of the script for this season before I actually started filming, I actually I built a little a soundtrack library of music, so that because I usually don't look for music until I'm like in the editing stage. This is the first season where I tried to gather music that I think would fit in the season. Well, actually, this might not be the first season. I think I did that in seasons 1 and 2. But I did it again. I just gathered music that I think would work well in certain scenes, and it really did pay off. And a nice little moment with Nash and Claire, and just Nash and the Reds in general, really beginning to trust each other.
There you go. They've got more on the way. Let's move.
Why the fuck were there only 2 of them?
And Miller, I always like how Miller is usually the only Red that's really invested into this conflict.
It's fine. Promise. You okay?
Don't worry about me.
It's a nice little place. So I really like Gates and Claire's relationship. Just like it's obviously romantic tension between them, and a bit of will they won't they. But I like the fact that they, if you've watched the season, that they don't ultimately. I'm kind of sad, but also satisfied that they don't ultimately end up together, because I don't think they need to confess their love to know that okay, they care about each other. And if you'll notice, there's a lot of eye-opening POV shots this season. It's like a staple of mine at this point. And here we are reintroduced to Winters, voiced by the amazing JPO25. I'm so glad I got him back.
The Chancellor wouldn't have ended up like this. He's my responsibility now. What the fuck did you just say to me?
And the villains have always been difficult for me. Maybe other than Bernard and maybe Winters. Since there's so many characters, I feel that the villains of the show don't get their due. And I try to be a bit better for that in this season. And here we have good old Winters.
Sir, I don't recommend that. Johnson. Yes, sir?
This better be good.
And this was the title of the episode, Winters is Coming, is obviously a reference to Game of Thrones.
He's been trying to reach you for days.
here we'll get some backstory with Winters and another new character that's introduced this season that I will get to when we see them. Here is a reference to season 3 with the camera footage, and I made sure I tried to match the same effect as in, I think it was episode 40. Ah, poor Johnson. I guess poor Johnson. Johnson's a tough character to write for too. Like, I have a lot of great ideas, but he's just not on screen that much, so it's hard to give him those opportunities to like develop him or to like expand on who he is.
Head Chancellor Winters reporting.
Or expand on his character, essentially.
Pardon? You're aware of our annual progress hearings, correct? Absolutely, sir.
And here we have Oswald, voiced by Tundra.
Nasty injury from a training session, I'm afraid. Got me right in the head. I see. I sincerely apologize, Commander. I would have contacted you sooner, if not. You were going to say Image Winters.
And the whole idea of this character, Commander Oswald, I needed to give Winters an enemy, as in like we need to see the villain afraid of something. You know, we need to see that he's not all powerful. We need to see that there's somebody above him. And this was just another good excuse to use Halo 4. And I used that helmet specifically. I can't remember the name. I think it's the Aviator helmet in Halo 4. Because now that I'm playing using Halo, the Master Chief Collection, there's a Halo 3 variant of that helmet now. So we may see Oswald in Halo 3 at one point in Sandguardians.
I'm in the dark as much as you are. Is that so? Our team agent has reported.
And essentially, I hope I wrote this scene where people can understand it. It's Winters was supposed to report to this character Oswald, him and his team, just see, what their progress is. But because of the destruction of the underground chamber and Winters being knocked out, he missed his appointment, and the UNSC started digging, like, hey, what's going on? And they found some stuff at an ONC outpost.
For the annual recruitment test. But these Guardians.
And really tried to establish that, Oswald is aware of Winters and Sydney's screw-ups, He sees Winters as, possibly as incompetent. Like, like, what are you doing, man? I believed in you, and you're screwing everything up. And again, I had to give Winters some kind of time bomb, some kind of a ticking time bomb. I think that's the word for it. Just something that will like lit a fire under his ass. And Tundra's performance here is great. And the character's full name, what is the character's full name? Well, we'll call him Commander Oswald for now. And one of the big inspirations for this character, Oswald, was the character Cedric Daniels from the show The Wire. And I've always seen Winters as a character with like a Napoleon complex, where he just feels like he needs to prove himself and be the biggest man in the room. He can't really stand other people, not necessarily challenging him, but he needs he needs to be the biggest guy in the room. He needs to be the most powerful. And if for those of you who watch Mr. Robot or fans of Mr. Robot, definitely recommend that show. There's a character named Price, I believe his name is, which Winters reminds me of. There's a scene of Mr. Robot with Price saying that like he is driven by being the most powerful person in any room. And I found that interesting. You know, I found Winters he's kind of like Syndrome, kind of like Price for Mr. Robot. A bit like Loki from the MCU. And just this guy, and I love writing. I like writing for Winters, and just hearing JPO25's performance throughout the whole thing is just amazing. And in this season, Winters is no bullshit. I don't care about people. I'm not ashamed of not caring about my men. I don't care. I want results. I want this now. You know, even like he's kind of like Veruca Salt from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Just I want it now. I don't care. I want it now. And I love this kind of moment with Bernard and Winters. Just Bernard feeling a little nervous and feeling a little upset and hurt that Winters doesn't like miss him. He's just going straight to business.
I'm sending you additional reinforcements. Chancellor, what the hell is going on?
And this pushback from Bernard, like asking what's going on, you know.
Problems to deal with, Brigadier. I don't need an interrogation from you. Sir. What? We're short on men. Most of them were killed in the blast. Shh. Keep your voice down. Reinforcements will be arrived, but you have your mission, Brigadier. Get to it. Understood? No, sir, I don't understand.
Definitely, I guess I also kind of envision Winters as being like a scientist. I don't know. It's like imagine if Lex Luthor was a scientist, I guess. I don't know.
Understood, sir. I apologize.
Like the CEO of a company, but he's like a mad scientist.
What the fuck?
And these are all the soldiers that stepped into the pod last season.
These are all the enhanced.
And didn't even mention the medic ONC guard with the blue visor. I'm still I guess stingy, you could say, with armor pieces, even though I'm using the Master Chief Collection, because I still needed to use Halo 3 in certain moments. Like if a character, like the shot where Winters stepped out of his bed and wasn't holding a weapon, that was in Halo 3. That wasn't the Master Chief Collection. Whenever you see a character like Bart and Legend scenes, that's Halo 3. That's not Halo the MCC, because I do not know how to do the trick where you hold the weapons. At least not now. And here's Sydney. Sydney is honestly a character that I was considering killing off this season because he didn't step into the pod, and some of the other ONC survived because they stepped into the pod, like Winters and Johnson here. It just took them a little while to recover, while Sydney here is still recovering. But I originally was going to kill him off, but I decided not to. I don't know why. I think I had some more story to tell with him. But Sydney is one of the toughest characters to just figure out. And again, it's because I haven't really figured out his backstory. You will see some of his backstory this season in a couple episodes coming up. And I don't know, Sydney he's like on the fence of being like a redeemable character, but also at the same time, I don't want to redeem him, if that makes sense. Like, I see him as Elsa from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, of that character that's like, she's a bad person, but like she has moments of oh, well, maybe she can be redeemed. And she doesn't get redeemed. Something about redemption. I don't know. I'm surprised I haven't really done that for some of the villains. Who knows? You know, some villains may get redeemed, some may not. Here we are, new location, Last Resort. And I believe this episode is called Last Resort. And man, I wish I could talk. I'm going to finally talk about this. The title, the new little animation for the Sandguardians title, how it comes in and goes away. I did that a while ago, like maybe a couple years before season 4 aired. And I was way better with like visual effects and After Effects. So like I was happy with that. I loved that. I think I mentioned this, maybe I didn't, but and I also have to keep track of like, okay, who's holding the lifesaver in this episode?
Guardian Nash requesting assistance. Does anyone copy? Anyone? Hello, this is Nash requesting. My team and I need help.
I love all these obstacles that the Reds are going through.
God damn it! Ah!
And trying to like, and the thing about writing all of the scripts and making sure your story is good and ready to go before you actually start shooting, you can, you know, include all these little things like Nash's leg. You know, I could have easily forgotten about that, but that was a good point to remind the audience, like, yo, her leg's still fucked up. And how here you're seeing like Miller and Nash becoming a bit closer.
To make a distress call?
I love this episode, by the way.
Help me to that console.
Now, this freaking console was one of the hardest visual effects. I don't, it's just like, it's masking and I did have to make sure like masking like that. You know, when Nash is standing in front of that and I have to like mask around her while she's moving and bobbing her head and stuff. And I had to make sure that stuff's consistent because I really wanted to make this season more immersive. And I was getting better with these kinds of effects, so I decided, you know, why not? You know, give me a challenge. And I was able to, you know, just, how do I say it? Just include like little text, little visual effects there and everything. So that was really fun. Like seeing that come together was satisfying. Gates being Gates, man.
I need tools, spare parts, anything. Go!
What? Why? What's going on?
Shut the fuck up and find me some goddamn parts that I can use to fix this fucking thing.
Jeez.
Now Nash has been acquainted with Gates.
I can do this. I can do this.
I love this episode because one, we're in a new location and we get to see the Reds really just getting to know the Reds a lot more, spending way more time with them.
For real. You need to know when to shut the fuck up. And yeah, I trust her.
Me too. I don't.
I love this shot right here with Miller going back and forth.
You don't trust anybody. That's
It was so much fun to like, whenever I had a chance to reference the older seasons, it was fun, you know, because I really do try to care about continuity, and I feel like I've retconned a lot of stuff in these 4 seasons, just to like stuff I didn't mention the first 3 seasons that should have been mentioned. Certain points of this season that I wish I followed up on. I'll explain it when we get to certain episodes.
Oh my god, do not start that again. Listen, we are going to make it out of this, alright? We made it this far, we just need to push a little bit longer.
I'm very happy I made this a bit more of a red team season.
If this whole thing manages to actually work.
Because the Reds are tough. I've never seen them as like the main characters. So it's like, with each season, I have to think of the next season and think about, okay, what characters are we going to have? What characters can we kill off? Because I have so many characters already. And I want to try to get to at least develop each of them. And this scene was tough to write. At least Gates's dialogue, because he needs to still not necessarily be selfish. He needs to care about his team, but his end goal is still he isn't sure about the Guardians, and he doesn't want to fight. He doesn't need to. So I feel like Gates would express his doubts, and Miller, he's trying to not let Gates's doubts get to him. Like Miller's kind of invested a bit too much into the Guardians, and now he can't really go back on that. But I wanted Miller for this scene in particular to that first episode of season 3 where Gates and Miller are arguing, and Miller wants to prove himself. He wants to get back at the ONC. He wants to take action rather than sit on the sidelines. And Claire was definitely a wild card because I never really thought she would be the one to just say sure, I'll join the Guardians. She's always Claire's biggest thing with her is just anxiety of she wants to be the leader. She wants to be seen as a leader and strong, but she's not brave enough just yet to she's not brave enough yet to make decisive decisions and stuff. She's still very much kind of afraid. Now this guard right here, he's whistling the RVB theme intro by Trocadero.
Help! I need some help. Oh shit! Hey, I need a medic.
And here, what I like about this scene here with the ONC guards is you can see that they care about each other. They're they're friends. They care. Like I said, they care about each other. There's a little brotherhood.
So where are the 4 now? Where are they going?
Further into the jungle, I guess. I don't fucking know.
Love this right here.
Just focus on recovering.
That Bernard genuinely does care about his men, and he wants to see them get better. That's why he hates the Guardians so much, because they're killing his friends.
That stab wound across his chest. His infections just
those motherfuckers. They killed him. The skirmish troopers, the red ones. They're working with those Guardians now.
And if you notice with the scene with Bernard torturing Legend and Bart, it just escalates and escalates. When Bernard first takes off Legend's helmet, he's having fun with it. He's really trying to goad Bart, and then he gets interrupted. And then next time, he's just tired of waiting. He's just going to he's going to take Legend's eye out, and then he gets a call from Winters. And now this is the third time. And I wanted this to be a really dark scene. And here's a really great scene with Bart kind of relating to Bernard. He was part of the combat division before he joined the Guardians, and Bart wanted to prove himself. And this is just backstory I've written for Bart.
I'm about to.
Ooh. I really wanted to. I hope the blood was because the blood was I can't remember where I got that from. It was an effect I saw online that I just downloaded and used and tweaked. But I love it. I feel like it really works.
No! Don't you fucking dare!
and just to show Legend's badassery, even with his eye getting cut out, he's still trying to fight. He's still trying to protect, the Reds and Blues. And I did research, like, can you die from being stabbed in the eye? And you can't. Well, I mean, you could survive that. So it's like, I like this shot here. Very on the nose shot, admittedly. But yeah, with Bart, like, I love that little moment of him trying to connect with Bernard, saying, I used to be in your shoes, where I wanted to prove myself. I wanted to prove myself to the people who would never give a shit about me. And I always saw Bart as a cynical character and Mickey as, like, the more optimistic one. The yin and the yang between them. And I wish I developed Bart a bit more, but I did want Bart to become his own character, like a Chewbacca mixed with Tex. He's a badass who the audience doesn't really understand. Because usually with characters like that, with like Chewbacca or Groot or the Iron Giant, these really big, powerful, gentle giants. And I didn't want Bart to be that. I wanted Bart to be like a mean, not really mean, but, a tough character.
Take down the ONC. Simple as that.
Well, since it's
And here we are on episode 9, I believe. Yes, episode 9.
I don't know.
And the episode's called Endgame, which is a reference to the film Avengers Endgame. And it's very on the nose. I don't know if I would have, if I'm not good with titles, unfortunately. And here we get more backstory with Nash and the Reds.
What does that have to do with a small shit town in Illinois?
Same, actually. Except for the small, shitty town part. Freeport.
Where's this going?
And I do kind of regret,
I grew up in New Phoenix with my dad.
I do regret, again, not really having these characters explain their backstories in the first 3 seasons. Because even here, it's still a little restrictive, like Claire and Miller just say they're from Illinois. And, Claire is saying she's from a shit town in Illinois. I wrote the actual town somewhere, but I can't remember exactly what it was.
I'm the reason they're dead.
I believe it starts with the town in Illinois, but regardless, because even Gates doesn't reveal like where he's from. And I did have I did write down a line of where Gates where Gates is from, essentially. But I guess I took it out. And with Nash growing up in New Phoenix with her dad, that's important. Like I always kind of imagined Nash with just a dad and no mom. Like she was sort of the mom. She kind of needed to help her dad a lot, but she was like a tomboy. She was tough, not too tough, but like very smart. And her dad was her best friend, and her dad really loved her daughter, and he didn't want to hold his daughter back, and he had to be a parent and let her daughter go. But I really like that idea of like Nash being really close with her father. And here is kind of an info dump, because I really needed to solidify what's the plan moving forward. This is the rendezvous. What's all the information that the Guardians have gathered? Jack F does an amazing job as Yamo. And I love Ethan Chaotic as Archie here. Archie is, I always imagined him like Han Solo, a bit of Poe Dameron from Star Wars, and Cyborg from Teen Titans, with the booyahs and being into tech. And again, another inspiration is York from Red vs. Blue. Because Mickey was also, I imagined him like a mixture of York and Tex. And Archie is essentially York. And I believe that's where Ethan Chaotic, that's where he got his the kind of what he was going for.
They were given the green light for this?
And I actually updated this image of Project Genesis. If you go back to season 3, the episode Genesis, You can see it's like the design is different because I just pulled it off Google Images and just tweaked it again. But here, I just did some Photoshop, took some screen caps from Halo the MCC, added the same text, and yeah, a little retcon there, I guess. And this this music that you hear in the background has a ton of iterations for it, and I wanted this to be the theme for the Guardians. And the piece of music is called "Time to Heal" from MusicFox.com, and I really liked it. It's otherworldly, but it's triumphant. It was really nice, and you'll hear it towards the end of the season. You'll hear it throughout the season too.
Jason, you said you noticed McGrath's body looked abnormal when you saw it, right?
And this is like information from season 1, season 2, season 3, all culminating to this this episode. And Iyamo, I don't know, something about Iyamo in this episode I really like. Iyamo he's kind of the de facto leader of the Guardians right now. And I always imagine Iyamo to have like kind of a prejudice against humans because of what happened in the ONC and of course the war and everything. He was the opposite of Seal, and Seal wanted to learn about humans. Iyamo, he was very skeptical of them. And he would befriend Archie, and Archie would, like loosen him up a bit. And getting these images up there was a little difficult, but the end result came out pretty nice. And again, I had to block this episode very carefully because there's like 7 characters, 8 maybe. 7 characters in this room, so I had to make sure you could feel that all the characters were all in the same room, and I hope that came across well. I think it did. And here we have Ellen kind of getting more bloodthirsty, She's channeling all that guilt into anger and trying to direct it at the ONC. That's what I feel like a lot of people struggle with. And all these names are all made up. Most of them. Some of them are based on fictional characters. Some of them are based on actors. But I don't know. It was fun creating that little graphic of the names. You can see Johnson there. You can see 2 characters coming up. Well, 2 characters we've actually seen in episode 7. Williams and Varric. Voiced by Monica Webb and Isaiah Culling, respectively. And you'll see them soon. Man, I knew this episode was going to be tough. There's a lot of blocking, a lot of shots I need to get through. Even the writing for this episode was tough.
A good deal of ONC personnel died that day. The UNSC was forced to step in.
We should have killed more.
And I always thought, having flashbacks and characters talking about past events would slow things down and not move the story forward. But it really doesn't. If you use it correctly, obviously. It can really, if you use it well, you can really establish a lot of great character development.
We leak it directly to the UNSC, yet if we can prevent it from being traced back to us, the UNSC won't think we fabricated anything.
Hold up. The ONC has its annual.
Now this graphic, that little UNSC graphic test there, was done very fast in Photoshop, and I was like, yeah, just make something.
We'll need to make copies of all this data as well. Dax, care to assist me?
I feel like this is Dax's first line in this episode.
This is it. Is this our endgame? This is it, Dax. This is everything
That line right there by Ellen is was directly stolen from Gears of War 2 when Marcus tells that to Dom.
Sorry, just
Now this doing like this, I don't know why. I can't really remember because it's been a while. But Marilyn kind of like being downer here or devil's advocate. It was tough to write because I wanted to like really question: are these Guardians doing the right thing? Do they really think they're just gonna get away from like killing all these ONC guards? And again, this was one of those things that's like I had to get in the characters' heads, like each individual character, and feel like, what are they thinking right now? And Ellen is just like, she just wants to use this as like, release all this anger and use it to get back at the ONC, to make up for her mistakes. Yamo's kind of the same way, that's why he snaps at Marilyn, and Marilyn just feels like, what's the point? Like, what's gonna happen with all of us after all this is over? What have we actually gained? Because it's like a thing of like, well, we can't just give up, but if we don't give up, what are we gonna have left if we win at the end of this?
Ridiculous.
Which I thought was really important and natural.
We need to move fast.
You know what? I think I'm gonna call it a day. Dax, what the hell, man?
Unbelievable. Ichabod, you're with me. Jason, help.
And Yamo being all business.
We'll see to the hard work without them.
Yamo was such a really deep character, in my opinion, this season. So, here we have a not a complete, but a flashback episode. And I think I've had this idea for a while of just like something taking place in Halo Reach and that deals with Winters. I thought it'd just be really, really interesting. I feel like I believe this map is called Oni Sword Base, I believe.
Impressive, isn't it? Even in times of reconstruction.
The episode title, Mr. Bad Guy, is a reference to the Freddie Mercury song. And I chose this map because it just has the table and all the screens and stuff.
He's simply missing in action. All Spartans are.
We have the return of Commander Oswald.
Of course. It's interesting, though, isn't it?
It's really fun to try to match, like, okay, what kind of armor is similar to Halo 3? Like, what color scheme would be similar to their Halo 3 armor scheme?
I fought in the Great War, and I assure you,
and this is also kind of a reference to Red vs. Blue and one of the factions, Project Freelancer, where I've always wondered, like, how did that meeting go with, if you've watched Red vs. Blue, the leader of Project Freelancer is the director, or character known as just the director. Like, how did his meeting go? How did he get his project funded? And I wanted Winters to be like this kind of politician who was conscripted into the war, and he didn't really want to fight. I imagine like something like Edge of Tomorrow, where Tom Cruise's character is just kind of dropped in everything and he tries to hide and run. And Winters is more of just like, how do I capitalize on this? Because his whole motivation is to be noticed, to be loved, essentially, But he's such a he's become such a slimy person. He just gives everybody like a bad feeling,
Quality fleets scattered across the galaxy. They lack the numbers they need to defend themselves. What if the these Covenant remnants launch an attack on your men, Commander.
And I did want to kind of plant that maybe like Winters has always kind of had that like, yo, these elites, we can't trust them, you know. Sure, we're friends with them now, but like they could always betray us, you know. We can't trust them. And that's the foundation of the ONC, you know, trying to bring humans and aliens together. But your leader doesn't even trust the elites that much.
As much as anyone else.
What are you saying, Winters?
There's strength in numbers, Commander. And you don't have enough men to protect you. The Ordnance National...
Now this whole sequence was just really fun to write. These graphics were fun to do. I don't know why I called it Ordnance Nationality Corporation. I really should have explained it in this episode. I didn't. I'm sorry. I blame myself. But like legit, like seriously, this episode was really fun to write for. And I did a lot. Like I went to Halopedia and the Halo Wiki and looked at the timeline. You know, when would Sandguardians take place? You know, and that was a lot of fun. Just learning about Halo lore and trying to fit this in, like this being at the official UNSC headquarters, like some little conference room.
I don't expect anything less from a politician.
I didn't want to get too deep into it, like, does Winters work for Oni or whatever? I was considering it, like maybe this is like Oni or something, like I don't know. I don't believe I'm not as well versed into Halo to have that make sense, you know.
That is why I enlisted in the first place. I'm a veteran, just like you, Commander.
And I wanted to write Winters as a bit more of a regular guy in this episode, you know, have some moments where he's just kind of down to earth.
The ONC can give them that opportunity. Frankly, sir,
And to portray him as like, oh, he's just kind of down on his luck. But no, like part of Winters is it's kind of an act.
I studied your record. Your enlistment was involuntary, and you have the nerve to say you were inspired to join by the chief? You have the gall to call yourself a veteran. You enjoy the chief so much. Did you pay your respects at his memorial?
Yeah, just Oswald chewing Winters out.
Pretty late into the war. Did you agree to join his battalion?
I've always saw Winters as just like, he's just a bad guy. You know, he's a really interesting, cool bad guy. Like a classic bad guy who is not really redeemable. You can understand him, but he does so many terrible acts that like his terrible acts just completely overshadow his backstory.
And we appreciate your time. Winters. Surprise,
Now we
surprise.
see
Meet
Sydney.
Dr. Archer Sydney, former ascetic and one of our liaisons of humans and Healy relations.
Hello, Winters.
And I looked up like aesthetic elites, because Sydney wears an aesthetic helmet. I'm like, well, maybe I can do something with that. Like, what would be Sydney's backstory? I like to drop hints. I don't like to just lay out the entire backstory of a character. But unfortunately, because I don't like to lay it all out, I'll just kind of forget it completely. But I think by just like at least writing it out, at least with this season, I was able to put more of the backstory on the table without giving you the whole story.
I also think it'll give your trainees a new perspective on how things are changing in the galaxy.
Tundra did a really great job, and JPO25 too, as Oswald and Winters, respectively. I did do a little color grading here to kind of make it seem like a flashback. It doesn't really. I could have done it a lot better though, but I really liked how this turned out.
I believe in your program, Winters. If we go in this direction, I'm all in.
So am I.
Let's move forward then.
Good. Head Chancellor Winters, Vice Chancellor Sydney, best of luck.
And I wanted Oz is essentially that bridge between the ONC and the UNSC. Then we have our smash cut, which I really liked.
Brigadier, good news?
Permission to speak freely, sir.
Make it fast.
These are not reinforcements.
And now we have Johnson in his new armor with his two lackeys, Barrick and Williams, who don't speak in this episode, but it's not their first appearance. Their first appearance is retconned, but this is kind of their first official appearance. And I was a little, one thing I wanted, because I wanted not just this season, but I wanted to include more perspectives from the ONC. I wanted to make the ONC actual characters. That's why I have a lot of scenes with regular ONC, because regular ONC, just like random ONC guards, I wanted them to have like lines. You have Samuel and Isaac who have names. They're all voiced by me, but I wanted to at least give them some character. Like there's people behind these. They're not just faceless mooks. I wanted to give them like personalities and stuff, as little as it was. And this is also the last vocal performance of Jack F as Yamo as Bernard. Not as Yamo, but this is Jack F's last performance as Bernard. And I just lost contact with him during this. He just I don't know what happened, and it was disappointing. You know, obviously he's one of my he's definitely amazing talent for Sandguardians, and he really did make the character of Bernard. So I lost contact with him, and I hope he's doing okay whatever he's going through. But once I couldn't get in contact with him, I had to replace those characters. And I was originally going to use the EVA helmet for Johnson, because I used this exact color and armor scheme before in season 2 with the pilot and Ollie Johnson, that character, the engineer character. And I'm like, I already used this, I want to use it again. But I just decided not to care. Like, that pilot character is dead. It was a one and done character. It doesn't matter. And I didn't give him I didn't give Johnson the EVA helmet because I don't know. It didn't really look. I didn't really like the look of it. I liked the pilot helmet. I thought it looked way better. You know. And of course, it's like Red vs. Blue. You know, the meta has one of the most famous villains of that show has the EVA helmet. And that's what I was kind of going for, but for here it just didn't work. So I decided to just stick with the pilot.
Fucking A. Yes, sir. I'll get a Pelican ready.
Pelican.
And here we are. We're at the last stretch of the season.
One way to find out.
This season definitely felt a lot shorter than season 3, but it definitely felt more compact, more tight.
Mayday, this is Nash requesting assistance. Is anybody there? Can anyone hear me? No, come on.
Oh, this nice push in here.
This is
Just
Guardian.
the desperation.
Damn it. Give me that thing.
Sometimes I forget that I believe when I wrote this episode or wrote this scene, I literally just went, wait a minute, I have the fucking lifesaver. Why can't I just I need to incorporate that again, you know? And to remind the audiences that hey, you know, the lifesaver still powers up, you know, things and vehicles and heals people and everything like that.
Far longer than I was hoping for.
This is a year of collected information, Yamo. It'll be worth it.
I like your optimism.
Oh, thanks.
And here, and I tried to kind of actually do it in a way where like Ichabod is like connected with Yamo and Ellen. Jason is with Archie and Dax with Marilyn. I really like that. I kind of, it took me a while to notice that.
Everything they've put us through. And who's Ellen? Is that a friend of hers or something?
Again, reintroducing the Ellen storyline. And another really tough thing about that was like, which characters know that Ellen was considering transitioning? Because Yamo looking at Ellen right there, I feel like some characters know, but Ellen hasn't like directly told them. They've just strongly suspected, you know. Like the biggest one would be Nash. You know, why wouldn't Ellen tell Nash? And we'll get to that. Maybe we'll get to that. Like even McGrath, like just really figuring those things out. And that's why I'm kind of vague with like certain things like backstory and everything, because if I solidify it in the show and make it canon, I don't like retconning that if I have to retcon it, and it's not going to be fun to retcon it, you know. So if I say something in the show, I want it to like be true and not having to like, no, this is the truth, it's in the show. Like say Dax, if Dax is like 5'1", it's like Dax is 5'1", this is how it is in the show, I cannot change that.
So I pray you know how to use the turret.
Yamo, relax. I've seen them in battle.
And again, this is Jack F's final performance as Yamo. He did an amazing job.
We can't be too relaxed.
You know, a simple hoo-ah wouldn't hurt you, Yamo.
And you'll hear of Yamo's new voice actor soon.
Jesus, you cannot fucking please that guy.
He's just tense. We all are. We sacrificed a lot to get to this point. Once the data's out in the open, we're just hoping things end in our favor.
Come on. What the hell happened to your optimism, man? Of course it will. It's finally
And here we have a little conflict. This is something I thought about, like, well, how will the Blues feel if they're going to go to jail? And how do I, like, make this, or will they be okay with this? Like, you know, why would they continue working with the Guardians if they realize that they might be going to jail?
We've committed crimes, Ichabod. We need to prepare ourselves for all possible contingencies and ensure that any blowback we receive is as minimal as possible.
Blowback? From who?
We're charged with numerous felonies. The UNSC isn't going to ignore that.
And I definitely wanted to have this conflict with, at least with Ichabod and the Guardians.
This evidence. We're not the bad guys in this situation. And you said leaking it will cover our tracks. Alan, what the fuck?
You three signed up for this.
I'll have to say, it does like add more character to Ellen, in my opinion. Of just like, she's not this perfect character. She has like flaws, and she has flaws. You know, Yama has flaws too. All the characters have flaws and everything. And this scene was tough to write. You know, I don't know why. Just like these later episodes were tougher to write.
How the fuck are you gonna do that?
Just have faith. If we play our cards right, we'll find a way to get everyone in the clear. I promise.
You know how I feel about false promises, Alan.
We'll figure something out. For now, we stick to the plan.
Now the nice moment of truth.
This is Guardian Nash requesting immediate assistance. My team and I are wounded and need an evac.
And I had to just kind of put Dax and Marilyn in this scene just to like, because they're going to come up in the next episode. So I just had to include a scene with them, even though they don't say anything. I was originally going to write a scene with them. I kind of regret that I didn't, but I felt like I didn't want the episode to be too long. I don't know, some dumb excuse.
The fuck
This episode's called Contact, referencing the Trocadero song. Trocadero? And this was one thing I had to remind myself, like, these people are all friends and they know each other, and we've never seen Nash and Archie on screen together, but I had to write it in a way where, like, okay, these people are supposed to be friends, so even though audience hasn't seen them on screen, I had to write it in a way where, like, they've been long friends. I feel like I just repeated myself. So yeah, this season overall has a lot of character moments, a lot of character moments, a lot of the story's a little tighter here, and yeah, and more visual effects.
You can only get so far with a broken leg.
What?
Oh, stay strong, girl. You know I can patch you up, no problem.
And I'm so glad these voice actors just really made this season just so much more fun to write. Because I love seeing, like, what they do with the dialogue and how they handle the lines.
We've all got your back.
She's so dramatic, isn't she, Nash? I told you she should have done theater in college.
Pinpoint those coordinates.
Oh, right.
And that was Iamo's new voice actor, Bajingi.
Signals transmitting outside a jungle near a beach. They're probably broadcasting.
I can't really remember how.
That is. Marilyn, get your
I think he auditioned.
Archie, keep those comms.
I can't believe I'm even confused about this.
Hear that, Nash? We're gearing up to get you out of there. Sit tight.
Nash, we're bringing you home. I promise.
Hurry.
Wait. I want to help. Let me come.
This was a little weirdish decision of, not really weirdish, but like, I had to make sure this made sense. Like, okay, why would Dax want to go? Would that make sense? I just wanted to include Dax on in the action. And Ichabod, I believe he went because he kind of wanted to redeem himself as well.
Kidding me? I wouldn't have gotten this far if it weren't for all of you. Thank you.
And yeah, just Nash just being an official member of the Red Team now.
Yeah, thank fucking God. What's their ETA?
Gates, for once in your life, relax. How's the leg? No. My friend Mary will fix it. She's a professional.
I love this little scene right here. It was awesome to record this.
We're out of this motherfucker! Woo!
Gosh.
Yeah, baby!
That was fun to record. It was a little cringe to watch.
Anyone hungry? Do you really have to ask? We've got a killer vending machine at the base.
Yes!
What the hell is that?
Now, this effect, I think, I think, let me see. I believe, yeah, that was a Halo 4 effect, and Halo 4 has a green screen, so I composited it with this shot. And this shot was actually tough to do, just having all four of those characters.
Get inside now!
I really like this ending of how dark it got.
Mayday, this is Nash.
Nash, we copy.
What's your ETA?
Alan and Diamo are prepping to go. I'd say they're about 40 minutes out. What's going on?
No, we don't have enough time. We've been found out. They're breaking into the...
Oh, nice shot right here.
Hello?
I love how the Reds just can't catch a break, obstacle after obstacle.
What happened?
Now it's episode 13, I believe. We're almost at the home stretch. And this season has 15 episodes instead of the standard, quote-unquote, standard 16. Seasons 1 and 2 had 16. Season 3 had 18. This one has 15, when it honestly really should have had 16. I really don't know why I gave it... well, I kind of know why, but... the ridiculously long finale. Now, this idea was... it was kind of... I think I wrote this from the beginning when I started writing season 4. But I feel like this was kind of a tough decision to give Claire like some PTSD for Bernard specifically. And I'm not 100% sure why I would give it to Claire. And like looking back, I just feel like she would be the most appropriate character to be afraid of Bernard, because I don't know, just one that she's just like maybe Nash, but with Nash, I feel like she would be stronger. You know, she's dealt with people like Bernard so much, while Claire is like maybe that kind of gives her PTSD of the guy in white. And doing that effect was tough. That those shots specifically. Corin May, the voice of Claire, did a really great job. With that, I really like that. And kind of dealing with themes of like trauma and kind of attacking your inner demons. And now the new voice of Bernard by Better Call Huxler, who takes over the role from Jack F. And he was really fun to work with, very professional.
Hey, look at me. Claire, I'm here. I'm right here. No. Listen. We're gonna make it out of this. We're gonna make it out of this.
And again, with just something I relate to, just like sometimes being in a leadership position, all that pressure, and if you struggle with like anxiety, it's just like you freeze and you panic because you freeze and you panic because you have to do what a leader does, and you don't want to disappoint the people that you care about and you're leading, and it's just kind of all on you, where you don't really have anybody to fall back on. You have to lead. It's just tough. And the film Puss in Boots: The Last Wish was released around this time, and there's a really famous scene where Puss in Boots endures a panic attack, several panic attacks, and I didn't necessarily want to recreate that, but I wanted to kind of do kind of a panic attack. I wanted to do it respectfully and I wanted to do it right as best as I could. And I had Gates there with Claire to help out with that, and I really liked that scene. Now that explosion, when we cut to this scene again, behind the explosion that with the forklift that happened behind the ONC guard, that was unintentional. That was unintentional of that, forklift exploding. I just shot it. When you shoot it a couple times in the game, it'll explode, and I'm like, oh, that's a nice shot. And where Johnson is, like, if you're in the game and you're at that spot, you can easily snipe all 4 of them. So I wish I had there was better cover for this shot right here, for this scene. And this was tough because you can only have 4 characters, or I can only have 4 characters on screen at a time. And I am considering getting more body actors if I need to, but only if I really need to. Oh, I love that delivery.
Damn it. I lost her. Her radio's dead.
Don't say that word, man. Iamo.
The great thing about Halo the Master Chief Collection is that, like, you can have, like, they added some cool vehicles like a Phantom and and some other vehicles too, like a Pelican. You can't fly them, unfortunately, but yeah, I was able to do some like that. Phantom flying was done in Forge, and just me moving the Phantom with the Forge monitor. And then the interior of this Phantom is the Halo 3 map, Snowbound. And finding the interior of like pelicans and stuff is, for me, is tough. You know, because I don't want to use it the typical. Because for the pelican, I use the map Longshore, and that little room in Longshore. And I don't know if I'll do that. I don't know if I'll keep doing that because it doesn't really feel like a pelican. There's like an area in Longshore that you can extend like some kind of bridge, and to me that looks like the interior of a pelican. But it most likely will change in the future. Just FYI. I love this shot here because it just looked so nice, in my opinion. And here we are, penultimate episode for the big battle scene. And here is not the introduction, but like new voice actor, new voice actress, Monica Webb as Savannah Williams. And it was really cool because I wanted to say, you know, indicate that like, hey, the ONC have some women in their ranks too. And I really liked how this episode turned out as well. Man, I love female villains. I don't know what happened to female villains, but we need more female villains. Someone who's just, I don't know. And Williams, man, it's just interesting. Monica Webb did an amazing job.
We can't just sit here, people. Miller, can you make the jump to that board?
And the thing with having like 4 characters, or only 4 controllers, is that you can't really. You have to be careful when you're simulating gunfire and everything. Like, say for this shot, you don't see any gunfire. When, if I can go back, I would try to add some gunfire in there.
Fuck yeah. Let's do this.
Now that shot, I wish I could have done a little bit better. And now the music's changing as the tide begins to turn. We see the Reds. Just, I love seeing the Reds and Nash just working together, man. Finally becoming a family. Like I've said, I've always saw. I guess honestly, like I really like this idea of like Nash kind of taking over the leadership role because, of course, Wilbur's dead. Legend kind of led the Reds in season 3, and now Nash is like a full-on like leader, and it feels natural too. And that is the second time Wilbur has run over a villain. And with Johnson, I hopefully I tried to indicate. Well, actually, I like this shot. Hold on. Boom. And here we go with the other of Johnson's goons, Bo Varick, voiced by Isaiah Culling. And Savannah Williams and Varick are kind of like a, not necessarily a Bulk and Skull, but like a badass evil Bulk and Skull. Because they're like one of the few enhanced ONC that were enhanced by the lifesaver, hence their like green accents. And here's the big hero scene. And the reason I had, I put turrets, not plasma turrets, but just regular Gauss or Warthog turrets on there, in this map, on the Phantom, was to have stuff like this. So like those are 2 maps, and I had to find a way to kind of like tactical shooting, and you need to see like turret fire coming from above. Now, if you heard when Johnson, the Avatar, died, it was like a female voice. And that was a mistake. I forgot to change because it was one of the few times where I had a lot more female characters. So I would have if a character would have died, you would hear like a female voice instead of a male. But I forgot to change that at that point. I love that shot. Just showing the outside of the Phantom just reminds you that they're in a Phantom.
Yamo, what's the damage? We're taking fire. We need a safe LC to.
I love Archie and Yamo's dynamic as well.
You know, I was just kidding when I asked what's the damage, right?
So yeah, with what was I talking about?
Jason,
With Varric and Williams kind of being like an evil Bulk and Skull, I wanted. Wait, I feel like I talked about this. You know, wanting them to be that bridge between the regular ONC and like the higher ups, the higher ranking ONC officers like Johnson and Bernard.
We can't take another hit. You gotta give me a good angle.
And those were like, I did those auditions fairly late in like production, you know. I love that.
That's what I'm talking about.
And yeah, I don't know. So I really liked the Williams and Varric. Just giving Johnson a little team. And I wanted Williams to be this kind of by-the-book, mostly by-the-book chick, but she has like a really angry side to her, while Varric would be the more by-the-book kind of person, with like this sadistic side to him.
Hey, I like a little crazy.
As you can see, like the color, the saturation for this episode is a little muted. You know, it's a lot more. It's not as saturated as, and there's a reason for it. You know, this episode's supposed to be pretty dark. And I tried to show the Phantom as minimal as possible to not come across as like fake, if that makes sense. I'm very proud of this effect of like the whole little grav lift thing, especially in the background right there. I'm very proud of that. Because I really wish there was some kind of way, because I know this is on the map assembly in Halo 3, there's a way there's like a little grav lift tube.
Fucking did it, baby. Just like I told you we would. We did it. Together. Home sweet home.
Now that was recorded in slow-mo in-game, just like really like making the game slow. So we have Gates's death, and this was something. Okay, this is interesting. This episode, I had two endings for it, two different endings, and the actors, like specifically, the voice actors for Varric and Williams, you know, Isaiah and Monica, they recorded both endings. And I wrote the original ending, and then I changed it and I had them record the additional ending. But I kept the original ending just in case. And the original ending was Bernard dies. In this episode, like how you see it, they use a lifesaver to keep him alive, but I changed it, and that was the original ending, but the alternate ending was like, for this episode, Bernard dies, because because since Jack F was gone, I was really considering like, like Bernard's hurt now, like, do I really need him for next season? Like, what can I do with, what do I do with that? And even the next episode was going to begin in a completely different way. A very completely different way. But like in this scene right here, you know, Williams says that we have to help Bernard, he's going to die, and Varric is concerned about it. But Johnson had like additional lines here where he said like, you know what, he died in battle and everybody's going to know about it, and he had a noble death. And it was supposed to indicate that, like, Johnson, when Miller was, gunning for Bernard and Bernard was shooting at the Reds, Johnson could have, used a sniper to shoot the Reds right there and help Bernard out, but he didn't. And the reason I was going to have Johnson was going to just allow Bernard to die so he can take over. And, but he decided to keep him alive. And, it's the end of this episode. It's just so tough. And yeah, again, it was honestly, because how we had that scene with the Reds talking about who's going to stay, who's going to go. I had it where I had it like I constructed it in a way where each of the Reds died. Well, not like all of them died, but I had a scenario where Gates was the one who died, where Claire was the one who died, and where Miller was the one who died. The one with Claire dying, I kind of scrapped that pretty quick because she had a new voice actress, so I didn't want to just like introduce this new actress, kill off the character, and then like you have 3 seasons of me voicing Claire and just 1 season where she's voiced right, So I scrapped that idea of Claire dying. And I had it for a while where it was Miller, the one who died. And then like Gates and Claire would be talking about, Miller's death, and Claire would have been the one to stay with the Guardians while Gates would have been the one to leave. However, with that, the reason I didn't use that was because I like the idea of Claire staying and becoming like an official Guardian and working with like Nash and Marilyn. However, and I was going to have like where Gates would be the one to take the ship and just leave. But the reason I didn't go with that was because in my mind, like naturally, if Gates left, you would not see him again. Like if Gates survived and he was the one flying off in the Banshee, which you'll see later on in the episode, if he was the one flying off, you will not see that character again. I mean, maybe you will, but most likely you probably won't because he wants nothing to do with this war. That character, he was the one who wanted to leave in the Pelican season 3. And the fact that he left now, he would not be coming back. He might be coming back for Claire, but I don't know. Like, he was dead set on leaving. So I changed it to, and this was tough, I changed it to Gates being the one who died. Because I really like voicing Gates because he's just easy to voice for. Yeah. I had Gates being the one to die and it sucked. But he was kind of an asshole throughout the whole series, but he did have a good heart. I would have loved to see him stay, but I feel like if he was alive and was able to go, you would not see him again, So I had to just kind of end it tragically and kill off Gates, have him lose the lifesaver, and and even had a scenario where Miller was the one who left and Claire stayed, but I ended up switching it. Now for this opening, this is the opening to the last episode, the longest episode of the whole show, freaking 30 minutes. And the reason it's 30 minutes, I'll explain in a bit because the scene's about to come up. But like I said, I had an idea of where Bernard died. And the opening of this episode would have been completely different. And what I did, now that Bernard's alive, I moved the other scene, the different scene, I moved that, like that scene's going to be the beginning of season 5. Okay, so there's your little teaser for season 5. Like the beginning of this episode that I moved that to be the beginning of season 5. And another hint I'll give, just think about the beginning of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. And that's all I'll say. So we had that scene with Bernard, being alive, and he has to get surgery for his spine because it's just broken and the lifesaver saved him. and that mirrors, and I like that because that mirrors what happens with Nash. And I also Googled like what happens if you like fracture your spine and you're like paralyzed from the waist down. Like, can you get that replaced? Because when Winter says like you'll be getting a hypothermia, there's like a word for it. It's like a hypo something, where you basically have to amputate the lower half of your body. You know, so yeah. Now, this is the reason this episode is so long, because I think the episode was originally like 15 minutes, and Sip the Mighty actually helped write this episode, and I believe she helped write a few more episodes too, but this was the main one where she really did co-write this, and she wrote out, you know, this entire scene, and I just added some edits and some additions and some edits to this. And it was a really nice way to bring Seal back, you know. And this is a direct kind of sequel to the flashback in season 2, in the episode Insight to the Past. And here is where McGrath has already proposed to Nash, and this was Nash's first time meeting Seal. And this really just pushed me to write an entire slew of backstory for, you know, Ellen and Nash and Marilyn and McGrath and Seal and Mickey and Bard and Yamo and Archie, just all those characters, Ray and O'Neill even. Just all those characters and what the ONC was like. And here you can have this flashback scene that has like a warm tone, which I really, really feel nice. And this is
She's just not the one I'm looking for.
this is definitely a hint of Ellen, you know, having romantic feelings for Nash. You know, and again, it fits in with Ellen's character of like, you know, I like Nash, but you know, she's dating my best friend. She's engaged to my best friend, and you know, I really wanted McGrath and Ellen to be good friends, you know.
Well, I couldn't have gotten far without my amazing partner. Obviously.
And I love seeing these four together. And this Halo Reach blocking can be a bitch. And this episode was also, with Ellen's just a therapeutic character. This episode was also therapeutic of just like not feeling like right in your own skin, just not feeling like you deserve like happiness, and just having a good support network, a good social network. Let's say good social support network to help you just get through tough times. And I really wanted McGrath, because I see him as like this idealistic, this practical, idealistic character. You know, like he's always looking onto the horizon. He's very kind of a workaholic as well, and he moves very fast. And while Ellen kind of just balances that out of being a bit more slower, more personable. And there's Seal and his and him and McGrath share a different color scheme, white and green. And I really like this scene. I feel like it was a great scene to add in the finale, you know, kind of keep the audience on their toes.
And I know what you mean, Ellen. About being afraid of something bad happening.
And really kind of establish like Nash and Ellen being best friends, very close.
If something does happen, we'll get through it together.
Right. Together.
Nice little, just very somber smash cut. And one thing that I regret doing is not having a eulogy for Gates, because that's exactly that would have been an exact reference to season 3. Totally forgot. Total missed opportunity. Really wish I just had Claire say some kind of eulogy for Gates. But maybe you could argue that, like, hey, it's kind of poetic. You know, she says, what would people say at your funeral, Gates? And she says nothing, but she's there. She's the only one there. At least for now, like from seeing this.
We don't know what to say.
Go fuck yourselves.
Now, this little scene was going to take place inside this bunker here, not outside. And instead of Gates's grave, Claire would have been looking at a crate, and that crate would have like new armor. But I decided, like, you know what? No, we need to acknowledge Gates. She has to acknowledge that. So we have to have a little shot with her looking at Gates's grave.
She'll pull through. She's the strongest person I know.
This scene was very difficult. Not difficult, but like in terms of like writing. I believe Sip wrote this. The voice actress for Ellen. I feel like she wrote this. I feel like she wrote this. But I wish I would have went back and edited this scene a bit more because it was just, yeah, it's a little messy.
Nash, I had every intention on returning.
And it was really hard. Like with Nash wouldn't forgive Ellen. Would she understand that like Ellen couldn't necessarily go back for them? Like she wanted to go back. Ellen wanted to go back, but Mickey said it was too dangerous.
I thought I could do something about it.
And how would Ellen feel? You know, would she still beat herself up for it?
We lost Gates. And the way you're talking about him, I'm guessing we lost Seal too, didn't we?
And this is the first time she does kind of hear about Seal, which is crazy.
He sacrificed himself to destroy the lab and everything in it, including Winters' secret project.
Oh man, Ellen goes through the ringer in this season. Nash goes through the ringer too. And again, with both Bernard and Nash, I always see them as like arch enemies, sort of, specifically. And with Bernard getting an amputation and Nash getting, you know, an amputation for real. And kind of going back to Bernard, I was always questioning, like, would he want the lifesaver? Would he approve of that? And part of me doesn't think he would, but that will play out in. We'll see if that plays out. Just keep a lookout. Now, funny, Ellen's original name was Alan Silver, you know, and I called the character Alan originally because it was if you've played any of the Pokemon games, you can name your character, and I named my character Alan because it's similar to Ash. And my brother, like I had Pokemon Crystal, my brother had Pokemon Silver, so I named the character Alan, this character Alan Silver. And I realized that I never revealed Ellen's last name, so I decided to just change it, which is great, you know. Ellen Delgado, and Delgado is a reference to Power Rangers SPD. The Yellow Ranger of SPD is called Elizabeth Delgado, or Elizabeth Z. Delgado.
The infection spreads. God forbid. It might kill her.
A little kind of note here with Marilyn holding the plasma rifle. I really tried to get, you know, make sure like the Guardians hold some alien weaponry because they're comfortable with it. And Ellen's just completely destroyed that not only did she leave Nash, now she's like responsible for Nash getting a new leg.
Stupid fucking. God fucking damn it. God damn it, Gates.
This episode was tough. I never expected it to be this long. Never expected it to be this long.
You hear me? You three? You're
And sometimes when characters are like hurting or they're upset or angry, it's hard to know like what would Miller say here, you know?
Claire.
And this was a neat idea I had. Usually just like when the characters join the Guardians, their armor will change. And this is a direct reference to Red vs. Blue with Claire having kind of steel armor similar to Tex But I was thinking about giving her accents, making her accents be red instead of salmon. But I kept it as salmon because just to let people know that this is Claire. And I like the idea of just like, whoa, this character looks completely different now.
He should have been here.
And with MCC, you can have the little backpack.
I called him selfish for wanting to leave in the first place.
Oh, come on. You're not going to blame yourself, are you? Look, Gates was an asshole. Always was. Always has been. But he was our asshole.
It's so weird not having Gates here, honestly, as a character. It's just... sometimes when you try to make your deaths realistic, like they just happen suddenly, and you know when that character's gone, it's gone. Sometimes you want to go back and like, I would have made it maybe something more meaningful, you know, something more Hollywood. And there, Claire is mentioning her mom, and you know more backstory, which I love.
How's your leg? Pretty bad now that I'm losing it.
And giving Nash, I think those are ODST tack legs.
Take care of yourself.
As long as you promise to take
Oh, I
care
really
of
wish
my
there was something. I tried to find something that was a bit more robotic, but I felt like these are kind of like braces, you know, like they're helping her stand, if that makes sense. And I love this, like I love that scene with the three women there, the female characters.
To get to where you're going. Left trigger to boost. Right trigger to shoot.
Like I said, if this was Gates, you would not see him again.
Easy peasy.
So here's Claire leaving. Will she be back?
Jackie, I said hi.
Stay tuned. I like this little like seeing that, you know, like it's the first time that Miller calls Claire by her first name. And Claire, you know, telling Miller to tell Jackie that she said hi.
Well, I think we've all earned some R&R. Miller, you hungry? Yamo can grill you up a mean Moa burger.
What? Do you know how long those take to
Now I don't know why I put Moa. I think that's an animal in Halo Reach, and I actually wrote that Jamaican jerk sauce line a couple times.
Anything else to eat in this place?
We've got a few Snicker ice cream bars left in the vending machine.
Now we're talking.
It's kind of this scene was kind of tough because sometimes it's hard for me to see my hero characters as bad guys, and you know, but I mean, for the Blues, they kind of have to like get some shit in this episode because they kind of caused all this. And sometimes it's hard to voice this too.
Everyone tried to talk me out of it, but when Legend left,
Trying to come across as dramatic. And God, Dax is really hard to write for this season because I don't know what he's not that gung-ho kid anymore. You know, he's just down and sad and scared. And I did want like to have Nash kind of call out Seal, because this goes all the way back to that episode Insight to the Past of Seal kind of being a bit manipulative, you know. In terms of like, you know, like Seal being manipulative of just like, oh, if you really love them, then you would do such and such. And I'm like, you know, you're kind of, you know, you kind of, Seal can kind of make people feel sorry for him and do things that he wants. And I wanted Nash to point that out. And with Dax, you know, he has to grow up and see that his heroes are just, you know, people. They have a lot of flaws. And yeah. And this ending scene was tough because I really had to start thinking about the end game of not just the next season or this season, but the whole show of like, how do I actually want this to turn out? you know, and I had to kind of plant some of those seeds in there.
Venture across the galaxy. Be this big, stupid fucking hero. Make my great-great-granddad proud.
But you are a hero, Dax.
And this scene had a few more iterations that I can't really remember.
A lot of times, being a hero means learning from your mistakes. No matter how much you fuck up.
You're brave, optimistic.
I feel like personally I would have cut that shot, but I don't know. With Ellen.
Yeah, and you're fucking stubborn too.
So yeah, I was actually originally considering having Ellen transition in season 5, not in season 4. But thankfully I managed to find a way to have her, you know, transition to Ellen in this season. Even though this was the end, but the main thing is I wanted to do it on screen, and I didn't want it to be just this sudden thing, you know. It had to feel natural, you know, and I didn't want it. I wanted to do it just as best as I could.
All of us here have someone we're fighting for. Maybe that's how we get.
And another kind of tidbit, I would have renamed this episode "Home Sweet Home" to, you know, mirror what Gates said instead of just "Home." Because I feel like "Home" is just too generic.
Screwed by the ONC, finding out about the guy in white, the Guardians, everybody telling their story.
But wasn't the plan about covering our tracks?
And it was tough because I think Dax, and I had iterations where Dax and Jason came up with this plan, but it was a real risk in having Ichabod come up with this plan. Because, you know, Jason's the smart one, but in order to have other characters grow, they have to kind of do things that are out of character but feel natural. Like, you know, Ichabod's doing this from a sense of, I care about these people. I'm starting to, like, be okay with caring about people again. So, you know, let's do that.
It's Ellen.
Here is, I mean, Ellen was always here, but here is Ellen.
If we're gonna do this, we need to be
And
open with not only
I was contemplating, not really contemplating, but I was considering making her armor sapphire and pink, but I kept the orange, and the orange looks great.
I've been so terrified of losing anyone else, it's hard to keep my brain thinking rationally.
And it is definitely foreshadowing that Ellen is kind of joining the blue team. And I really like the idea of the Guardians befriending like the blues and saying that, oh, we can still make new friends.
And I hope that in spite of everything, you can still bring yourselves to trust me too.
Because, you know, they have a relationship, you know, and they are friends.
We can do this. We just have to have faith. If we play our cards right and work together as a team.
Man, this scene was these ending lines were actually kind of tough to write because this ends the season.
Together.
Right. Together.
And that is season 4, Sandguardians season 4. I love that ending shot there, and I love how kind of like Ellen has the opening and kind of closing lines of the season. It's very poetic. And yeah, I feel like out of all the seasons, this one was the most dramatic. You know, I mean, season 3 was dramatic, and I still personally like season 3 over season 4. But again, this season tackled way heavier themes in my opinion. And mid-credit scene. Now, it's weird calling this a mid-credit scene because this also made this episode really long.
What? The Major's giving orders now? Yeah, it seems that way. Whatever happened to the Brigadier must have been bad.
Now, this shot was tricky, but it was really fun to pull off. Just like this really long shot. And this is the map Longshore. It's at the prison. And this, there's a shot coming up soon that was hell. Oh my gosh. I told you like I said in the other Sandguardians commentaries, the hardest thing for me is just having multiple characters walk like in one direction at a single pace. It's ridiculously hard. And this was, of course, done in Halo 3 because these characters, because Legend and Bart aren't holding any weapons. And it's a nice way to remind the audiences, hey, Legend and Bart are still okay, they're still alive.
You didn't notice? The Major's been acting off.
Oh. I don't remember the Major ever acting like that.
And it kind of foreshadowing how there's going to be more of those enhanced, lifesaver enhanced guards.
Into your fucked up little cult? I heard these fuckers even tried to assassinate the Chancellor.
Well, he's gonna get his revenge today. We're not keeping prisoners anymore.
This is such a tough scene to shoot and make look right.
Last time you see it.
Yeah. Wait, are we really not taking prisoners anymore?
Boom. Gosh. I was so tired at this point because I already filmed the rest of the shots and everything for the rest of the episode, and I was just exhausted. And here you can kind of see Legend and Bart kind of becoming little friends. I did have to think of like an escape for these guys. I'm like, okay, how are they gonna escape? Are they gonna escape? And I thought of like a really nice, interesting way to do so. And another challenge was like, how do I make these two communicate in a machinima when they can't understand each other? But I mean, I found a way.
What? You serious? Let's go.
And they jump into the ocean.
What the fuck? Where'd they go?
Save your bullets. We'll find them.
Then they make their daring escape, and last shot, end scene. And that is Sandguardians Season 4. Just a really smooth production. You know, like I described this season as just like the road to get here. That gap between Season 3 and 4 were tough and just really draining and emotionally and mentally tough. But you know, once I got to this season and started writing it and getting voice actors, like I was like, that was freaking that changed me for the better. Like, I mean, I'm like, man, I love being away from college and away from those editing classes and just doing something I love with really great people. And I had just a lot of fun with this season. My writing game stepped up, sound editing stepped up, visual stepped up, and the acting was just amazing all around. I hope you saw the names of the actors there. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to say about this season. Just again, as always, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and more to come from Sandguardians. You know, story's almost over, but it's not quite over yet. So again, thank you for watching and thank you for listening, and of course, special thanks to these wonderful people here. I had a great time making Sandguardians Season 4, and I hope you had a great time watching it, as well as watching and or listening to this commentary. Yeah, so this is Intermind, and thank you for the 100th millionth time. But seriously, thank you again. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting me. And yeah, have a good one.